What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today we are taking a look at Beyond Contact, a survival action RPG from Playcore and published by Deep Silver. Now, this one reminded me a lot of No Man's Sky in some ways. The game focuses on surviving the harsh planet of Catern as scientist Quinn Hicks, who's a member of the Space Corps after crash landing due to a mysterious force. Now, once on the ground, you need to collect resources, discover new species of plants and creatures, and research schematics in order to craft everything you need to survive. These things range from combat equipment to cooking stations and even nets to capture small creatures. And this is all part of the core gameplay loop. You're going to be constantly researching, crafting, and upgrading your equipment to take on new environmental hazards, fight off hostile creatures, and build up a base to survive attacks from the corrupted. And because this is a survival game, you will also need to manage your health, your stamina, and your oxygen levels as well. So it's not just about fighting creatures, but you're also going to be like scavenging for things to eat, looking for oxygen bubbles, all that stuff. Now, when you start the game, you're going to be given a few options to choose from. You're going to be given a story mode, which apparently has been updated and polished from the first iteration during early access, from what I hear. Then we have Conquest mode, which is sort of like an open exploration freeform mode, but there are some new features that got added, things like territory capture and defense, new characters, character experience points and leveling, and then also like farming mechanics and multiplayer features. And then lastly, we have Join Game, which is where you can just join another player's session. Now, outside of that, we do have an Unlocks tab that allows you to earn credits while playing. These are not purchase credits. These are things you can earn in-game, and they'll allow you to come back to buy new characters or new colors, new outfits, things like that. So if you don't want to play as Quinn Hicks, you have 3 other characters to choose from. You have Kenga, who is a fierce warrior, and he has upgrades to his attack and his defense attributes, basically combat focused. You have Professor Zane, who is one of the most intelligent humans and an expert in building habitats, so he's a builder. And then you have Blot, who is connected with all forms of life and is a master botanist and gardener. So depending on what your playstyle is, you can go and unlock one of these characters, and then at that point you can kind of lean heavy into that playstyle. So let's talk about my first 2 hours with the game. So during that time, I can say it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable experience. There are some things that pulled away from my experience a little bit, but I do want to cover what I thought about my time with the game. So first, the story is the normal rescue mission gone wrong trope. You begin by responding to an order from the United World Congress to photograph the planet of Catern, which is becoming unstable. As you approach the planet, a mysterious force magnifies the gravity of Catern and then pulls your ship in for a crash landing. From here, the story follows a search for missing crewmates and establishing contact with the local civilization. Both of these things are resolved fairly quickly, but it was interesting to learn about the history of the Brachiones that inhabit Catern. They're a very kind of cool race. I liked learning about like their history and how things came to be for them. It's very interesting. Now, outside of the story, the gameplay is pretty loose. You don't necessarily have to follow the story. Instead, you can just go and explore. You can research, you can upgrade your equipment, and this is something I really like. So when a game gives you an option to sort of follow the curated campaign experience if you want, or the ability to simply just wander off and find something cool to get into. And that's exactly what I did at first. I just put the campaign on the back burner and said, you know what, I'm going to go explore, find some stuff, get into some fights, figure out what I can craft, where I can go, what I can't do. And ultimately, I ended up exploring quite a bit. I did run into some areas where there was environmental hazards that I couldn't get through until I got to a certain point and crafted certain gear, things to protect me from corruption, radiation. But ultimately, I was able to explore a lot of the starting area and unlock quite a few different things. So let's talk about that gameplay a little bit more. So Beyond Contact is not a combat-first game. I very quickly learned that when a small bug-like creature gave me an absolute beating early on, even with the pickaxe that I had crafted. So if you're wanting like a Starship Troopers style of experience, I don't think this is the game for you. It's not going to be a shooter or anything like that. But with that being said, combat is still a semi-frequent thing that you'll have to engage in order to kill some wildlife and then harvest resources, things like carapace, bug meat, legs, viper, teeth, things like that. So you need to go and take care of these things in order to craft something that's better than what you currently have. And as you go through and you slay creatures, you mine rocks, you pick flowers, you dig up mounds of space dirt, you're going to collect those resources. Some will be old, some will be new. And for every new thing you discover, you're going to need to scan it in order to gain data that can be used to fuel new research tasks. Now, this data comes in a variety of types from crystal to organic, and every time you need to learn a new schematic, it will require a certain amount of data. Now, once learned, you can craft that item as many times as you would like, as long as you have enough material resources. And at the start, you'll have to craft something like a heat source, new armor to protect against attackers, but also environmental hazards, like I mentioned earlier, gas and radiation. And then lastly, you'll want to craft yourself a weapon, that way you can defend yourself against attackers. But outside of those starting requirements, you are free to craft whatever you feel like is most important. If you want to craft a storage locker and a crafting desk, go for it. Would you rather craft a turret and landmines? Sounds like a plan. Either one of those things is completely possible because Beyond Contact gives you the flexibility to survive how you want to. Now, crafting and gathering isn't the only way to improve your character. You also get skill points. These can be used to unlock new passive effects to help make your journey a little bit smoother. So while I can't say that I've maxed out the entire skill tree, because I haven't, but these passives do help quite a bit when you're trying to get things unlocked early on, especially one, and this is a passive that will give a random data type every 9 meters traveled. And then as you invest more points into that node, that distance will shorten by 3. So it goes 9, then 6, then 3. And it is beyond helpful. And then when it comes to managing resources, this is always my least favorite part about survival games. The crafting, the combat, the start from the beginning, start from scraps type of thing. I love all of those systems. I think it's a really neat journey to go on. But managing stamina and oxygen and Beyond Contact was a constant thorn in my side. It gets a little easier later on, but at first I was spending so much time looking for food, and it was imbalanced. I spent more time looking for food than making progress on my research and campaign. And the map is fairly interactive. So you can pull the map up and look and go, okay, here are my food sources. So I need to go grab these things, set down my little portable stove, cook these things up, give myself a lot of food. And that was great. Like, it wasn't hard finding the stuff, but it was the constant, well, I need to go over here, but I'm hungry, so I have to go the opposite direction to get the stuff that I need, and then head back to do my objective. And then I need to go find some more food and then go do my objective. And it created a loop that I wasn't exactly thrilled about. Now, I understand that this is 100% part of the survival genre, and I need to come to terms with that. But if you are someone who enjoys most of the survival elements, but not the necessary, like the hunger system, just know that it is present in the game and it will need to be a focus during your playtime as well. So once you reach a certain point in the story, you need to start building your base of operations. This is where you can begin adding crafting tables, fortifications, defenses, and all of these things are going to assist you in surviving, but also repelling alien invaders. Now, if you played the game during early access, the developers did confirm that you will need to build larger and more sophisticated structures this time around in order to survive. But the thing is, monsters aren't the only thing you'll have to protect yourself against. You'll also have things like epochs and weather events that'll cause you to freeze, for instance. So creating a shelter that you can hide in during these events will be required for you to make it through. So if you're an explorer, a survival genre fan, or just a fan of space games, make sure to check out Beyond Contact by visiting the link below. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you've played this game and what your thoughts are on it. Thank you all so much. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you next time.